Okay, so today we're going to start out here in a seated position, and that could be either crisscross like this, or you can sit in more of a kneeling position like this, as long as you're comfortable. And then you're going to start to lower your eyes a little bit. And then start to close them. And then this is where we just start to tune into ourselves, where we are. Just noticing our breath as far as the temperature, the rate. We're not changing anything about it, just noticing. And then same with our surroundings and body parts, doing a quick scan of your body. Just noticing any parts of that have more tension than others. Again, you don't have to do anything with it right now. You're just noticing. And now you can start to deepen the breath. Taking longer inhales. Holding it at the top and taking longer exhales. And just arriving here on your mat or on your blanket, on the floor. And then release your jaw if it's clenched. Release the tongue from the top of the mouth if it's on the top. Unfurrow the eyebrows. And we'll take 3 deep cleansing breaths here. We'll take an inhale and sigh it out. We'll do that 2 more times, just breathing out any type of stress that has happened today or anything that doesn't really serve us for the rest of the day. And it can be audible. And returning back to normal oceanic breath. Filling up the lungs. And just arriving here. And you can go ahead and blink your eyes open. And today, I don't know if everyone here has done Yin Yoga before, but if you want to direct your attention to the screen, we're doing Yin Yoga today. So if you guys are familiar with the Yin and the Yang, just like I have pictured here. So Yang is more of like muscle movement, heat, really trying to get the body heated up and going. And Yin on the black side is more calming. It's more for, it's more of a cold type of energy. It's not heating. So Yang Yoga is usually like the usual yoga you think when you're doing vinyasa and just like doing all kinds of like that crazy like handstands and stuff. And then Yin Yoga is the balance of it. So it's a balance. And with this type of yoga, we're targeting the joints in hard tissues here. So I want everyone to bring their hand out, their finger, their index finger out in front of them and tense it up, like as if you're pointing really hard, and then try to move it around in the joint. It doesn't move very much, right? And then just let it go. So do like kind of just like a limp hand, and then you pull that and you see it move so much easier in the joint. So that's the point of Yin Yoga. We're trying to relax all of the muscles around our joints so it's able to move around like this and lubricate. So just think of that visual. So if you're in a pose and you're really hurting and you're just stiffening up, that joint isn't going anywhere and it's not very productive at all. So try to relax all the muscles around that joint and you'll be able to get the best benefits out of this practice. Again, my name is Sam, and we're doing Yin Yoga today, and we have my fiance, Chu, here. He's going to be my guinea pig. This is my first time teaching a virtual yoga class, and Kazu is also here, our dog. He'll be joining us. So now that we're all grounded and arrived, we're going to go ahead and do a breathing exercise. And for this exercise, we're going to be sitting upright, try to get our spine as long as possible in the crown of our head as if we're going to touch the ceiling. And we're going to bring our right hand up towards our nose. And make sure you guys have washed your hands and everything. I know with the coronavirus and everything, if you need the hand sanitizer or anything. But we will be touching our noses for this one. And it's called alternate nostril breathing. And it just aligns the channels in our bodies, and where the channels meet are the chakras, if you've ever heard of them. And it just aligns these, and it really calms our nervous system and helps anxiety. So we're going to start again with our hand up towards our face, and we're going to be using our thumb and our ring finger of our right hand. So we're going to start with exhaling on the exhale. And then you're going to place your right thumb on your right nostril to close it. And then inhale through your left nostril. Inhale completely. And then bring your ring finger and close the left nostril. And exhale outside of your right nostril. And then inhale through your right nostril. Close the right nostril with your thumb and exhale through your left nostril. Inhale through your left nostril. Close the left nostril with your ring finger. Exhale through your right nostril. And so on and so on. So every time that you inhale, that's when you close the nostril. And if it's your right nostril, it's going to be your thumb. If it's your left nostril, it's going to be your ring finger. So just know to close your nostril after every inhale and exhale out of the opposite nostril. And we're going to do this about 5 rounds. So take your time here. Really go at your own pace. And then once you get to your next inhale, where you close your right nostril, and you're gonna end on the exhale on your left nostril. So once you get there, on the exhale on your left nostril, go ahead and place your hands down. And then just take a few breaths here. Again, arriving. Kind of soaking up the benefits. And again, that just really clears the channels, of the energy that flow through your body and really calms the nervous system. Okay, so we're gonna start jumping into the yin poses now. So we're gonna start out in a pose called child's pose. So 2 is going to demonstrate here. So you're gonna come onto your hands and knees, and then walk your hands out, and then while moving your hips back towards your heels. Just like so. This is a really healing and restful pose where you can really find your breath here also. You can actually feel your ribs kicking out to the side. Just opening up. Again, taking those deep breaths in, and then exhale out. You can even shimmy your hips a little bit here, back and forth slowly, just to loosen up those joints. And then take any organic movements here. Maybe you want to roll the shoulders down and back. Maybe you want to roll the head around a little bit, just to get the joints loosened here. The gentle compression of the stomach here is really helpful for the digestion. You can even experiment with widening your knees or bringing them more close together. If you bring them close together, it's more of a stretch in the lower back. If you bring them apart, it's more of a stretch in the hips. So maybe experiment here to see what you need today. It's going to be different every single day. And also that rocking side to side can help stimulate some blood flow and the lymph fluids, which is good for your immune system. And in this class, we're going to be holding poses from around 3 to 5 minutes. So always remember to be comfortable, and remember to come back to that theory that we were talking about earlier of our fingers. So if we relax all of the muscles around this joint, it's able to move. But if we are stiff, the joint doesn't move. We want it to move and lubricate during this practice. Also during this practice, it can get really hard with your thoughts. I used to hate Yin Yoga at first, to be honest, and that was because it was really hard for me to hold poses for a long time without getting frustrated with my thoughts. So the biggest advice I would have is to just come back to your breath every time. Every time your thoughts wander off, you're not disciplining yourself by coming back. It's just really just checking in with yourself, just being mindful that you saw that your thoughts were wandering, and now you're going to come back to your breath. And then start to deepen your breath here. Wake your body up a little bit. If it started to fall asleep on you a little bit, maybe you need to wiggle the fingers and toes. And I suggest this after pretty much every pose in Yin Yoga, because you're sitting in a static position for so long, you start to get a little stiff. So just waking the body up, again, wiggling the fingers and toes, maybe rotating the wrists a little bit, maybe rocking back and forth with the hips because it might have gotten stiff from sitting in this position for a while. And then whenever you are ready, go ahead and make your way onto your back. We'll just be laying down with our legs straight and our hands down by our sides. And also in this class, always feel free to hold the poses as long as you need. You can always catch up. This isn't a fast class, obviously. Or if you are feeling like you need to leave a pose, just gently ease out of it and come back in. The next pose we are going to be doing is banana pose. So what we're going to do is walk our feet to the right side of our mat, and that is both feet. And then you're going to raise your hands either above your head or cactus arms, or even you can bring them down, because with me, I can't even put them over my head because I have a nerve issue and it starts to tingle. So just experiment how that is for you. And then you start to walk your torso, the top part of your body, over to the right also. So it's kind of like you're in the banana shape. And if you can see too here, he is in the banana shape. So his legs are off to the side, and he's off to the side, to the right side also. And again, you can leave your hands up overhead. You could cactus arms, or you can just leave them down at the side. Just really experiment with what works for you. Everyone's going to be different, and again, your body is even going to be different on each day. And again, we're going to be here for about 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes on each side. So really get comfortable here. And every pose is going to look different for you. And that includes each side. So whenever you do go into the other side, it might look a little different. So really just cater and tailor your poses to how your body is feeling. And this is just a great stretch for the whole side of your body. Stretches that IT band to the sides of the rib cage. You can even open up those shoulders a little bit, especially if we've been typing all day. I know a lot of us have been working from home on our computers. Another strategy to use here is to really breathe into that joint also. So the joints we'll be using here are the shoulders, the hips, even the ankle joints, the wrist joints. Just really send a breath into that area, like it's sweeping any type of debris out of the way. You don't need any toxins, any stress. It's like a leaf flowing down a river where it gets caught on a rock, but the river keeps going, and eventually that leaf gets freed and down into the river it goes. And that's what we're doing here, really freeing those energy channels in our bodies. Also, a thing to remember in this pose is just make sure that your pelvis is flat here. If it's rocking, just try to make your best effort to make it flat on the floor. And if you might want to feel more in this pose, you can cross your ankles That's an option. You don't. Sometimes I cross my ankles, I'm like, oh, not today. And then the ankles go right back. Again, it's just really being mindful of how your body feels today and listening to it. We'll take one more breath here. And again, just like you came out of child's pose, you'll start to deepen that breath. Bringing awareness back into your body. Maybe wiggling the fingers, wiggling the toes. And maybe the wrists, moving them out, maybe uncrossing the ankles if your ankles are crossed. And slowly but surely making your way back to center. Walking your feet back to center, walking your body, the top half back to center. Just sit here and scan your body for a second, see how it feels compared to how it was before. And then we'll go ahead and hug our knees to our chest. Nothing crazy, just to loosen up that lower back again. Rocking back and forth, taking any motion you need, maybe hugging closer, rocking. And then in your own time, go ahead and release your legs back to the floor. We're gonna come into banana pose on the opposite side. And like I had said before, this side may be completely different for how it feels. So now you're gonna walk your legs over to the left side of your mat. And then bring your arms overhead or cactus arms or out like a T or even down at your side, depending on how you're feeling today. And then walk that torso over to the left-hand side. And again, we're getting that banana shape in our body, as you can see with two here, like a curved C. Sometimes they call it the half moon pose also. And again, we're looking at our hips, make sure they are flat on the ground here. Just a reminder, we will be staying in this pose for about 3 to 4 minutes. So really just get comfortable. With this type of practice, we are finding the Goldilocks pose, and that is not too much, but not too little. So we want to feel something, but we definitely don't want to feel any type of pain. And if there is any type of pain that suddenly comes up during the pose, just back out of the pose a little bit and then ease back into it. There's nothing on the other side of pain in this type of yoga, so do not think that you have to be in pain for any of this. Now's a good time to maybe check in with your thoughts. See where they have gone since the last time you checked in with yourself. Personally, I always find it hilarious how far my thoughts have taken me and what rabbit holes I've gone down. But again, it's not judging where they have gone. It's just really just redirecting your thoughts back to just your breath. Being very mindful of it. As we sit in these poses a little longer, sometimes you might want to ease into it a little bit more. That's okay. And again, you have the option of crossing those ankles if you haven't done so already. Maybe even grab hold of each hand at the top. You can even pull a little bit so you get a little bit more stretch, just depending on how you feel today. And again, trying to target that breath towards those target joint areas and relaxing the muscles around it so those joints can be lubricated and healed. Said that this pose is actually really good for the gallbladder meridian in our bodies. So just doing poses like this can really influence your organs that are on the inside. Sometimes you can even put one hand down, one hand up. You'll find what's good for you eventually. That's what's great about Yin Yoga. You have plenty of time to figure out what your Goldilocks pose is going to be. And now is about the time to start coming out of this pose. So you can start deepening the breath again, bringing awareness back to the body. Wiggle those fingers, wiggle those toes. Be rolling out the wrists, wiggling those fingers, making the body up here a little bit. You feel a little bit stiff from holding the pose for a while. And take any movements, by all means, in between that your body might need. And take your time here. And then in your own time, you're going to hug your knees into your chest and start rocking back and forth, maybe even forward and back. Yeah, just like Tu is doing. Just massaging the back. This pose can be a little bit hard on the lower back sometimes, so just really loosening it up. Beautiful. And then we're going to start heading into a pose that it really targets the hips. And we have two options here. So some people know it as pigeon pose. And do you want to demonstrate pigeon? Yeah. This is the first option. So maybe towards that way. Yes. So you're just going to come to your hands and knees. And then stick your right, here, hold on. Go back to your hands and knees. And then you're gonna bring your right leg all the way back, straight out onto your toe. If your fur dog doesn't get in the way, your fur baby. And then you're gonna turn your left ankle, yes, in like that until it stops. And that's your range of motion. And I need to move this dog out of the way. Move. And then you're going to slide that knee up. It's going to be your left knee up toward your left wrist. Slide it up toward your left wrist. Well, can you come back out a little bit? There you go. And then slide it up all the way. And then bring your body towards it. So it's gonna be like that, like so. So bring the right leg out, spin the foot in, and that's where my leg stops, if you could see it. So my leg stops here, and then I slide it forward, and then I come down. And we're coming into pigeon pose. And this is a pose here where we can use blocks underneath our bottoms, just so we're not as uncomfortable. There you go, perfect. And then we can even use a bolster under the neck. You can use it just so your neck isn't hanging too much. So that's the first option. The second option is coming onto your back. What we're gonna do is what's called threading the needle. So we're gonna bring our knees up and then cross our left ankle over our right knee, and then bring our hands in between, and then just interlace our hands in between and pull it back and relax our head back. And that's the same exact pose. Sometimes you can grab on the outside. That's gonna be a little bit too much for me today, so I'm going to hold on to the back side. And then once you pick one of those two poses, these poses are very prone to creating tension in your jaw. So just really pay attention to that and release it if you can. Are you comfortable there? Mm-hmm. And then you can even put a block under your head. I usually like to put it under my forehead, like right here. And then as your body starts to relax, you can start melting down a little bit more. And just a reminder, we'll be here for about 3 to 4 minutes. This one can be hard to hold for a while, so if you do feel any pinching or anything, just come back out of it, maybe come back up, and then go gently right back into it. And the same if you are laying on your back and doing thread the needle. Just let it go a little bit, and then come right back into it. Using your breath here to really ease into the pose. This is one of my favorite hip openers. And I love that there's 2 options here, so it's accessible to everyone. Then this one, you can really use the breath here to sweep any type of blockages away. I feel it most prominent in this pose. I feel a lot of blockages in my hips because we actually tend to hold our emotions in our hips. So especially during these times, we might have a lot more than usual. And I actually sometimes find myself getting a little emotional in this pose, and that's completely okay too. But using the breath here to really sweep away, again, that debris that is just blocking up those meridians, sweeping it away, just like the wind sweeping away some leaves. And finding that Goldilocks pose. Not too much, not too little. And remember to try to relax every muscle around that hip joint if you can. And also thinking about your jaw here. I always have to check in with my jaw in this pose. I do it right when I get into it, and then about halfway through, it always goes back to that really tense jaw. Sometimes my tongue is on the roof of my mouth. That indicates tension. Eyebrows might be furrowed. Maybe check in with your shoulders to make sure they're not way up towards your ears. With this pose, we are releasing a lot, again, like I said, with the emotions and everything. So we're gonna end this pose here by really deepening the breath more intentionally this time. So really, and then we're gonna let it out through our mouth. We're gonna do that 2 more times. Just really cleansing out, getting rid of any of those unwanted stickiness in there. And then in your own time, start to make your way up. Maybe move the props out of your way. Come onto your hands and knees. And you can do some cat-cows here, just like Chu is doing, where you're bringing your stomach in and you're kind of like a cat position, pushing away from the earth like a Halloween cat. And then cow, where you're bending, letting the stomach drop. And then if you feel like you need to, you can also come into a downward dog. Are you able to do that? Or do you timber? Okay, so yeah, just like Chu's doing. So just into a downward dog, maybe move around the hips a little bit, just getting that blood flowing again. Maybe even raising that left foot up towards the sky a little bit. And just getting that blood flowing. Oh, there we go. There's some pops. And then we'll go ahead and come back to our hands and knees. And we're gonna come to the opposite side. So we're gonna kick out our, so come to your all fours. And then make sure your knees are right over your hip, under your hips. And then bring your left leg out, straight back onto your toes. And then you swing that right foot over and then start to bring it up. And again, when you do that swinging motion, you can see me, you just kind of swing, like you're sweeping the floor with the top of your foot, and then wherever it stops, that's your own range of motion. Some people it could be way over here, some people it stops right here where you barely even move it. But that's fine, that's where your hip is. And then you slide it up towards your right hand, and again, come into the pose on this side. And again, don't forget that we do have thread the needle on the opposite side too. So bringing our knees over our hips, laying on our back. We can bring our right ankle over our left knee and interlace our hands behind our left thigh. Start to bring it closer to our face. And just let everything relax here. Let gravity do the work. Adjust your body as necessary. like I was saying before, each side of our body can be completely different. So don't be surprised if you're much more flexible on one side than the other. Or even if you have to come to thread the needle on one side and do a full pigeon on the other. That is completely fine. But I'm going to go ahead and put some blocks underneath Two's hips because they are not sitting on the ground. So if they're not sitting on the ground, if you're in pigeon pose, definitely put some blocks underneath there, just to support a little bit more. And also try to make sure your hips are squared off towards the front of the room. Make sure your neck is nice and loose, not holding tension there. And again, let's come back to that tricky jaw. Let's see if you're holding tension in there, like I always do. Every time I check in with it, it's always back to that clenched position whenever I'm in pigeon pose. And again, you can use any props you need here. So that's why I said to use a lot of blankets. You can put that underneath instead of using blocks underneath your butt, or you can put blocks underneath your forehead. That's what I like to do. And then as I get deeper into the pose, those blocks have so many different heights to them. So we have the highest height, the medium height, and the lowest height. So we got 3 heights to this thing that you can possibly pass through as you're going through this pose. Again, if it is getting a little intense, you can always back out and gently come back in. No pain in this game. You're just looking for the Goldilocks pose. Not too much, not too little. Using that same sweeping breath, sweeping away any of that debris from those hips that carry all those emotions, carry all our weight also all day. Think of everything that our hips do for us. A big job to do. Just really being very gentle with them here and just giving them the nourishment that they need after holding so much for us. Okay, and just like on the other side, we're going to take 3 healing breaths here. So on your next inhale, really deepen the breath. And then exhale out through the mouth, sighing it out audibly. And one more. Really release anything that does not belong or serve you. And start to wake that body back up. Same way as on the other side. Any movement your body needs, moving those blocks, bolsters, pillows out of the way. Maybe coming into a few cat-cows, just like 2 is doing here, and moving the shoulders, just anything that you feel like your body needs. It's going to tell you. Just not being too rash about it. Just really like very flowy movements. Nothing too crazy here. And then in your own time, if you want to push your hips back into a down dog, getting that blood flowing back into those legs. Shimming the hips back and forth. Organic movements here. And then we are going to come into a seated position. And we're gonna have, if you do have a blanket or pillow, you may need to sit on it. You're gonna sit on the edge of it. And that's because we're trying to pour our pelvis forward. And that's how we get a straight up spine. We're gonna bring the bottoms of our feet together. And we're gonna come into butterfly pose. So depending on what you need here today also, we are definitely just following what our body needs. Some days I'm way out here, and then I fold forward. Sometimes I'm way back here. But the point is to really just melt forward very slowly. And wherever the body tells you to stop, that's where you stop. There's no forcing here. And then you can even use props underneath your forehead. Oops, sorry. Yes, you can hug it, just like Tina's hugging the bolster here. We're coming into a forward fold here that really unblocks those channels. And, change the orientation.
Do sideways?
Yeah. Scoot it back a little bit now. And once again, keeping in mind that Goldilocks pose. So it might be just right here today, and that's fine. Just maybe just relaxing your head down towards your chest. Opening up those channels all the way down your back. This is a great way to stretch the lower back too. If you straighten your legs more, that'll stretch the hamstrings more. Straightening the legs less will stretch the adductors more. And again, using any props here that you may need. Sometimes I like to stack blocks like this too, if you have any. Higher. Again, you can adjust those blocks to different heights. Same with books, you know, you can change which orientation they're in. They might help you sit on your forehead better. With two here, he has those two blocks stacked on top of each other, so he can let his neck relax. Really using your breath here, again, to guide you and sweep away anything all up and down that back. There might be a lot of blockages there also. Finding your perfect Goldilocks pose. Always having the option to back off a little bit if it's too much. And then on your next inhale, go ahead and deepen the breath again. We're going to be starting to exit the pose here. So start rolling your back up. Maybe rolling the shoulders back. And from here, we're going to come in your own time to lay on your back. And since we did such a forward fold, which is it really can be hard on the back, we neutralize the spine by doing a twist. So we're going to lay on our back, and we're going to bring our right leg over our left, just like 2 is doing here. And if you didn't see that, what he did was bring that knee up towards the sky and just bring it over to a twist. Bring your arms out to a T. And you can, I usually leave my neck neutral here. Or you can start to spin it open towards the opposite way that you're twisted. Make sure your shoulder's on the ground, your left shoulder, or right shoulder, I mean, just both shoulders, actually, for that matter. You can use props here under your knees, too. So 2 has the blanket underneath his knee. You can see it. This is actually bringing equilibrium back into our nervous system also, especially after that huge forward fold that we just did. Really just resets that spine. Even can massage the stomach and the organs a little bit as you breathe. And it can even be a little bit of a shoulder opener. Sometimes I feel it right in my shoulders. It's real nice. The main purpose is really neutralizing. Even we're also, when we twist the spine, we're kind of wringing out anything in there. Any leftover energy that we don't need. Just like you wring out a rag. And then on your next inhale, go ahead and start to bring that awareness back to your body and your leg back towards the center. You can bring your knees up into your chest. If you'd like, rock back and forth again. Maybe even windshield wipering. That's what I like to do, where you go like this. That might help. Might come into happy baby, where you grab the outsides of the knife edge of the feet, or you can just come to that, the knees, making circles. And then in your own time, we're going to come into the twist position on the opposite side. So you're going to raise your left knee up to the sky now and bring it over to a twist. And again, just like banana pose, you can mess with your arm positions. So it can be cactus arms. You can bring them down. You can bring them out to a T. You can bring them up overhead. Just as long as you're not sacrificing your shoulders here. We don't want your arms to be numb. And again, I'm giving lots of padding on this side. See how it's very different from his other side. Wringing out that spine again here. Getting in that final adjustment of the spine, each side. And again, start to bring awareness back to your body. And start to move that knee back over and the whole leg back over. So you come into laying on your back here. So again, if you wanted to hug your knees into your chest, maybe do some windshield wipers with your knees. We're actually going to come into our final resting pose, Shavasana, or corpse pose here. You can also use props for Shavasana. So I know it can get a little cold, so you might want to cover yourself with a blanket. I know I like just the weight of the blanket I like over me whenever I'm in Shavasana. And then maybe a bolster underneath the knees. I'll go ahead and place this here for you too. Maybe a pillow underneath the knees, maybe a block or a pillow underneath the neck. Anything here to just bring the ultimate comfort. The traditional Shavasana that you usually see in most yoga classes are where you're bringing your arms out to the side, your hands up, receiving energy. But in Yin Yoga, you have the option of just spreading out completely. So just bringing your legs way out to the side and even bringing your arms up and over your head, like a star position. So just see whatever fits you today. Most times I like to just do the traditional Shavasana. But Yin allows you to really soak in the extra benefits of those joints by really sprawling out. This is the most important pose of your practice. It's where everything comes together and soaks in. This is where you allow your body to actually relax. Maybe imagine yourself in some warm sand on the beach. Just really digging yourself into that sand. Check in with your body as far as your jaw. Is it unclenched? Your eyes, are they still focused even though they're closed? Really try to imagine them as ice cubes melting into a drink on a really hot day in the summer. That's how your eyes should be melting into your head. Unfurrowing your eyebrows, relaxing the tongue away from the top of the mouth. Soaking up all that work you just did, even though it didn't seem like that much work. Your joints will thank you later. Now you can start to just bring the awareness back to your body. Maybe start to deepen the breath. Maybe start to wiggle the fingers, toes, the wrists. And eventually making those bigger movements in the knees, the elbows. Waking your body up a little bit here, just bringing all the attention back. Maybe hug your knees into your chest. And then in your own time, gently roll onto the right side of your body into a fetal position where your knees are up towards your chest. And then you can use your arm as a pillow. And this is the exact moment where you can give thanks to your body for it being able to do yoga and all the hard work it does for you every day. And thank yourself for giving yourself this hour of time. Thanking your mat or your blankets, whatever you're laying on, thanking it for supporting you this whole practice. And slowly, in your own time, rolling up. We're going to come into a seated position, maybe the same one you came in when we first began, cross-legged or the kneeling position. And we'll take a moment here to do another body scan, just like we did at the beginning. See where that tension is being held. If it went away, if you're feeling better, or maybe even worse, it's okay, as long as we are noticing. And then we're going to bring our hands to heart center. We'll end the practice today with chanting Om with each other one time. And I'm just to let you know, I'm going to unmute everyone so we can all hear our Oms together. So take a big inhale in.
Well, it's slower today.
Thank you for joining me in this practice, and thank yourself for giving yourself the time to really give your body the nourishment it needs. And namaste.
Namaste. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you, Sam.
Namaste.
Thank you so much. Thanks, guys. I know it's a little weird being on video instead of live.